right, here we go. We have the Hellbat helmet here. It's all ready to get primed. I'm going to start diving into... You know what? I am not really feeling the lighting here. We need more lighting here, don't we? So you know what? Let's fix that. All right, that is much better. I got a lot more light in here now. So now where are we? Here we go. We got a little simple instructions here. Let's see. You got step 1 through 7-ish, 8-ish. Pretty much, this is a plug and play scenario. Pretty much make sure you measure your space that you have for your ceiling, right? It's at 190 inches by 95 inches. Wide, or length or wide, whichever way you feel like running this thing. But this is pretty much a plug and play, guys. Put all your let's open this. All right, what do we got here? All right, so here's your connecting ports. More connecting ports. More connecting ports. Here's anchors to anchor everything to your ceiling. Anchors and screws, anchors, and we got some caps for your wires. And they also give you zip ties in case you have a drop ceiling and not a regular sheetrock ceiling. That way you can zip tie your parts into the ceiling. And actually, if you look over here for the screws, see right here. So this comes with, these are pretty light. Like, see the lights? Here are the lights. They're super light, maybe an ounce in weight. You can see in there, I'm going to zoom in. The LEDs are in there. You can see there. And then here are the connecting ports right there that plug into the connectors. This is where we're going to be securing the parts, the light to the ceiling right here. There's the holes there. You're going to mark those onto your ceiling and then zip those in there. And we have two different wire scenarios. We have the plug-in right to the end, and where you can plug into your outlet, to an outlet right there. Or if you want to hardwire it in, there is the piece with the wire already here, already cut off, and then you can hardwire this into, if you have an outlet, like kind of like I do. I have my light, my crappy light that's there, and I'm going to take that light out and I'm going to install this. But I also have the outlet for my garage door, which I can always plug into there. But I'm going to not do that, but I'm going to do that. All right, guys, so I got the first set of lights up. It's the big rectangle. I'm going to be honest, it was a little bit difficult if you're doing it by yourself. You can definitely do it by yourself, but if you have 2 people and 2 ladders, will make this process a lot easier and a lot faster. When you go ahead and anchor the parts into the ceiling, you want to make sure not to screw it all the way in, because you're going to need a little bit of wiggle room, about a half an inch, quarter inch, so that way you can put the next light into the fixture. So once you have that, the next part into the connecting point, then you're going to go ahead and zip it all the way nice and tight. So that way, if you are doing this by yourself, you want to make sure that it doesn't bow or anything or snap on you. So that way you can, again, this whole rectangle right here has been done by myself really quick. Once I got the flow of it, it probably took me about half an hour, 40 minutes collectively to get the whole rectangle. And it's huge. You can, I'm going to have to pan around to see how big this is in this space. And it looks beautiful. As soon as I plug the lights in, right now it's powered by the extension cord. So I'm going to go ahead and I already just took off my old fluorescent light. I'm going to show you the part of the fluorescent. I kind of skipped that part. I got too excited. I got ahead of myself. But I'll show you what it looks like right now. I went ahead and plugged, for temporarily right now, plugged it in to make sure the lights will go on and work. As you can see, they look amazing. They really brighten the room, really makes the room really crisp, and I don't want to say sterile, but kind of sterile. I mean, you can see everything. There's like light flowing every which way, and I haven't even done the hexagons in the middle. So the original plan was to plug them all into one outlet, but I realized if I change the outlet over here to a smart outlet, I can then control the middle portion with my phone on a smart outlet, and then just have the main rectangle on the main switch, and then I can just turn it on and off. So that way, if I feel like it's overwhelming, I can just opt to have all the lights or just a portion of lights. So I'm going to show you right now what the fluorescent section looks like. I'm taking out the wires, going into my attic. Luckily, I have access to my attic, so if you don't, that might be a little bit hard for you. So if you have an outlet already in the ceiling, or if you don't have access to the ceiling, you can always run the wires through the ceiling instead of having to go to the attic and get your wire into your hard box that you're taking if you're taking off in old light or old fluorescent. So I'm going to show you right now really quick of where I am at right now, because this looks amazing. Let's go. Right there, that's the hole where the old fluorescent light power supply or power cord or supply was coming out of. So it's a little hole right there. So I'm going to go ahead and I got to get some patch and patch that up. Not a big deal. Not too big. So that'd be easy patch. So I pulled the wires back through. You see, I have my attic open here. So I'm going to be pulling. I pulled the wires through, and right there is see where the extension cord is plugged into for right now. So we're going to put a small little hole there, and the wire itself is really small. So we got a pretty small wire here, nothing too big, about like a quarter of an inch, if that, like an eighth, a little more than an eighth of an inch. And I'm just going to drill a hole in the corner right there, run the wire in, and actually, again, I'll show you. Here is this. Here's this wire. We're gonna strip this open a little bit more, get a little more space on the wire. I'm gonna run that into the ceiling, and then I have some cable. Make sure your gauge on your wire is the right size, so that way you don't blow your lights, right? So make sure you got the right gauge. We're gonna splice this we're gonna splice these two wires together, run that into the attic, and then plug that into our power supply. All right, guys, so I am up here in my attic. You see all my Christmas stuff, my printer boxes and everything. But got the wire up here. I'm gonna go ahead and splice the two wires together. Before you go ahead and put those two wires together, turn the power off. Don't go blowing anything. Don't set your house on fire, because that'd be bad. But I'm gonna go ahead and prep all the wires. I'm going to staple the wires in place, and then put everything together, and we'll see how this goes. So guys, let me just reach for this. Okay. Here's the wire from the lights. Right here is the power source for the lights. And then as you see, the little red, that's where I put some red duct tape just to patch it up right now until I get some compound and a patch and clean that up. But right now, we're just going to run this over. We're going to cut off any excess wire, make it nice and cleaned up, put these boards back in place, and then go check it all out. Oh, I forgot to show you guys. Here's the wires underneath. This is the yellow wire that we installed. Here's the existing wire. All the electrical nuts are on there. The wires, ground to ground, white to white, black to black. Can't get any easier than that. Okay, here we go. This is the rectangle. The lights are on. This is where the old fixture was. I have some duct tape right there right now until I get a patch and patch that up. Not a big deal. And then there is the wires. You can see it's a really small hole just for the wire. Try to get a little close-up shot on there. And we just put a little caulking, close that up so we don't have any little critters trying to crawl in here. And so now these lights are all controlled by my main switch that I had the normal lights on. Ready? 1, 2, 3, off. Oh, there's that light. But anyway, and on. There you go. Okay, while I'm getting the octagon part, the lights over here, I wanted to take a second. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, that the parts, when you're connecting the parts, over here, let me get this over here. There's a tab here that goes into, it's going to go right in here into this notch here. So what you got to do is, you got to start from the top part here, or the bottom, whichever way you're looking at it, and then pick it up a little bit and then pop it in, and then it just slides right into place. Make sure that clicks in, and right there you go. Simple as that. There we go. And then when you're doing this up in the ceiling, or when you plug it into the ceiling, again, make sure that you're not screwed all the way to your ceiling. Let me get this right. Make sure you're not going all the way into the ceiling, so that way you have that enough leverage to pop this into place. And then once you've had this in place and you squeeze this right where it's supposed to be, then you're gonna go ahead and then zip the screw all the way into place, okay? All right, guys, so as you can see behind me, I got a lot of the hexagons done. I'm gonna be finishing the rest. I actually decided to now time-lapse it so you can see the pattern. It's pretty much going in a zigzag pattern. We started in one corner, worked our way over, and then just back around, just kind of zigzag all the way down the row. It's really important to make sure that you have the right connecting parts to the next piece you go up. Don't do like me. I accidentally put the end piece on like the second one, so I had to go back in and zip it down a little bit, and then I had to go ahead and take the connectors off, which wasn't that big of a deal, but again, a hassle. So don't do like me. Make sure you have the right connecting ports to the next step you do. So what we did was start with each hexagon, connected the middle part, and went all the way down. And then if you look at the instructions on this, it says 14.3 inches, give or take. So we measured from the end of the lights and we're starting from there, and that's pretty much the whole way down. I don't have to measure anything else. It's pretty much straightforward, is just keep putting them in. And when you're putting the lights from each connecting port and you put the screws, also, by the way, this is a two-person job. I went ahead and tried to do it by myself, but there was no way. I didn't have enough arms. I am not an octopus, so you're gonna see my wife in here with me do the time lapse, helping me put this up. So you can do the rectangle by yourself. It's gonna be hard, but it is doable, the rectangle. But you definitely have to need at least two people to do the octagon part, because you need the extra hands to be able to hold it up in place and then screw it. The instructions say to do 1/2 and then put it all up. I don't know how you're doing that. You have to have one of those jack boards where they do the sheetrock to hold it up in place. If you have that, then sure, you can go ahead and put them all together, but doing it one by one or each hexagon at a time is probably the best bet. What you're going to do is probably how you're going to be able to get it done. So without further ado, let's roll into the time lapse on finishing the rest of this. All right, here we go, guys. As you can see, had to go ahead and zip down a little bit on the side over there to try to get these in. Sometimes they can be a little bit of trouble getting them in, but not that big of a deal. So you gotta want to make sure that when you're putting these in here to the clips, that they are going straight through. Otherwise, they will give you a little bit of hassle, but a little bit of finagling, a little bit of coercing, you can get them in there. And I'm gonna go back here and then zip all those screws back in. All right, so there you go. That was the run through of putting them all together. I just wanted to do the first part and make sure I got it all worked out and kinked out. And so that way I can definitely show you and then describe to you as I went through step by step of putting all those parts together. So you only saw the second half, but that's pretty much the same thing for the first half. The hardest part is just lining up the first one, and then pretty much everything falls into place right after, as long as your rectangle is squared off. Because if anything deviates from the edges, you're gonna have a hard time getting the hexagons into those squares. So you gotta make sure, the primary thing is making sure that that rectangle is square. Anyway, now that the hexagons are up, I'm just gonna go ahead and plug in the wire for the outlet that's gonna be plugging into where my garage door opener is. So let's plug it in and turn these things on. All right, there they are. All the lights are on. No issues. And as you see, I already also patched up the hole there. It's a little patch there. I did some silicone on the hole there. I've also changed out the outlet, so that is now a smart outlet there, which can control both the garage opener and obviously the lights. So you can see there's a splice point there. I did a little splicing there with the wire, and it's coiled up, and it is all stapled along the edges. You can't even see it, so did such a good job. And that's the only thing you see right there. So that's pretty good. And there you go, guys. So let me know, guys. This has helped. Leave me comments down below. What do you guys think of it? I definitely recommend these. These are actually pretty quick and pretty easy to put together. And they look awesome. They really illuminate the space here. And I'm really happy with how these came through. So now let's get back to the initial video, how we started all this. All right, that is much better. I got a little more light in here now. So now where are we? So we're talking about the Hellbat helmet. So now that the Hellbat is all done,